The Financial Survival Network, helping you survive and thrive in the new economy. Go to CarrieLutz.com and sign up for 30 free micro trainings on financial survival.
1490 WGCH. This is Carrie Lutz, and you're listening to the Financial Survival Network, which is brought to you by Miles Franklin. They've been in business selling gold and silver for over 20 years, and I'm a customer because when you buy, they ship. For more information, find them on the web at milesfranklin.com or give them a call at 800-822-8080 and get a free quote. This is Carrie Lutz, and you're listening to the Financial Survival Network. We are back with Chris Duane, the Silvershield of don't-tread-on.me. We're watching a gathering storm on the horizon, aren't we, Chris?
Yeah. I've been pumping these silver videos out fast and furious because I think this year-long, 13-month-long consolidation is coming to an end, and I just think it's insane that the prices are this cheap. I've never been more bullish on silver than I have been since really December. The end of December is when I really started saying, all right, guys, let's start piling in here. So the end of December, bought a whole bunch. I just completed 2 weeks worth of purchases. Whenever I buy, I just kind of, do some money someday, do some money the other day. I don't ever try to pick the bottom and dump it all at once because you never know when those little gifts are going to come. Absolutely.
You don't know. There's no way of knowing, but what I could tell you is the big buzzword recently has been financial repression. Mm-hmm. And that refers to the government setting interest rates artificially low. And as a result, you can't get a decent return on your money. So you shift to riskier assets, stocks, whatever, in an attempt to get a higher return, especially if you're a retiree or you're somebody living on a fixed income and you need that income. Mm-hmm. So that's financial repression. And Jim Rickards, others have come up with that term. But there's another aspect to financial repression. And that is if you can manipulate the metal markets and at least keep it from going up fast. But if you can knock it down a bit and undermine people's confidence, and then they start looking back at paper for a return because they feel that they're not going to get it in the metals markets. Yeah. So I like Max Kaiser's term, price propaganda. Mm-hmm. So how we all kind of get the propaganda from any of the major media sources, and we can tell that it's an outright lie and doesn't truly represent the reality in the media. Price propaganda, which Max Kaiser said it's just wrapping up the price of assets, moving them up and down in this artificial scheme that they have, mainly to scare people out or wear them out or give them no hope and stuff. And I think that all the education I've been doing with the Silver Bullet and the Silvershield takes that price propaganda out because we don't care what the dollar price is. All we know that we're investing for is the day that the dollar cannot buy silver, and we're waiting for this, the music to stop and everybody have their, uh-oh moment. And, just the video I posted today called Everything Burns is about how in 2008, it was, really a financial terrorism where, Hank Paulson and the banks held up the taxpayer to bail them out. So we had socialism for the rich and capitalism for the rest. And, one of the other videos I did with Charlie Munger that got a lot of response is, these political, social, economic elites don't care about us at all. And all they do is concerned about making sure that their portfolios perform, their banks perform, and we'll all be burned down before they fail. So, I think that the whole point of the Silver Bullet and the Silvershield is to really take the illusion away from their control and say, hey, things that cannot go on forever won't. And at some point it's going to end. And how do you prepare for that? And to me, you have to be of the opposite consciousness. Whatever is the problem today, you have to do the opposite. So if it's debt-based fiat, counterparty risk money, well, the only thing that's going to, keep that is real tangible value that has no counter risk. And I don't think anything's going to shine brighter than silver.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's just a bunch, like you said, propaganda, but it's deeper than just propaganda. It's really altering behavior through managing expectations and creating disappointments and making people lose confidence in what has been money since time immemorial.
Yeah. And I mean, the perfect example is just what happened in 2008. When Bear Stearns went bust, JP Morgan took over all their shorts. Within 3 months of them taking it over, they engineered a collapse of the silver market from $21 down to $9 in a very short period before the crisis happened in October. And the thing that I've been trying to transmit to people, when I do these interviews, is to say, hey, I sat through that, and that was the most difficult time in my life. That was the time that I left my family's business. I moved to a new state. I had no job. New baby and 2 cars, and all this stuff, all these new expenses, and to see my assets, essentially cut more than in half. During this completely illogical thing, it tested my mettle, literally did.
Yeah.
And I just kept going back to these same things that I'm showing in the Silver Bolt and the Silvershield, to go back to the fundamentals, to go back to understand why I bought in the first place. And these are the exact same times. This 13-month consolidation, there was no reason for it to go down $6 in 15 minutes in May 1st of 2011. This long period is really just a period that will ultimately end in the paper shorts being run out of the business and the real physical market taking over. And it's not just going to be this resumption back up the charts, where we're going to see 40 and 50 and maybe we'll hit 60 and drop down. I really believe that this is that final battle between the paper shorts, the entire financial system. You see all these problems with Europe. You see the debt ceiling coming back into the play. The Treasury doesn't know why it's an issue. I've heard that Obama is going to ask for a $20 trillion debt ceiling, which you and I discussed earlier. I don't know why they just don't raise it to $30 trillion and, forget about it.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. And then you got, I think, even the bigger issues out there, which is what Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, France and Germany and all these other countries that don't benefit from this current paradigm. And then I guess the biggest news, and this is a video I'm going to be working on tomorrow, is the merger of the Rothschilds and Rockefellers in the Financial Times, which to me is a pretty telling sign that these guys are getting ready for a big blowout. And I'm going to mention in my next video that the last time the Rothschilds and Rockefellers officially got together was the creation of the Federal Reserve. So they created a privately held central bank, and that ended up dominating the paradigm. Well, they're doing it again, and they don't do that unless they think the Anglo-American Empire is on being threatened, and they stand much better together than apart.
So what are they going to do is the question.
Yeah, well, from what the article says is that David Rockefeller introduced, what's his name? The Rothschild from England. Mm-hmm. I forget, but anyways, introduced him to his wealth manager, so the Rockefeller and Company wealth manager, and that was 2 years ago. And they're now just announced that the Rothschilds are buying 37.5% of that asset. And I go into some pretty interesting conclusions of what I think will come out of that, but you'll have to wait for the video to come out.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it. So what's coming up next? What videos you got?
Yeah, so I got the two Rockefeller and Rothschild videos. I just put out a video. Nice to have a big dog, but it sucks sometimes. So I got these two Rockefeller Rothschild videos. I got the three powers that are going to come out of this crisis that are preparing for this crisis. Mainly the Anglo-American Empire, the BRICS nations, and I think the most powerful one of all potentially is the awakened masses, and that we can, through education, the communication, the internet, we can really throw off this lesser of two evil paradigm between choosing, the Anglo-American Empire or the BRICS. Either one of them are not for freedom. China and Russia are much more suppressive of their people than we are, and to think that, if we get rid of the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, we're going to have some other guys. But I think ultimately, the whole mass of humanity can finally wake up. And I think that's only going to happen when we hear the hard consequences of the reality of this paradigm ending. So I hope that, all the work that we're putting out will help speed people along. And in fact, there was a funny comment I got a week ago about a young guy who said, man, what an amazing 2 weeks. He said, I stumbled across your YouTube channel, Truth Never Told. I watched all those videos in 2 days. Then I wanted more, and I went through the Sons of Liberty Academy. It took me 7 days to go through that. And then I signed up for your Silvershield report, and it took me another few days to go through that. And he says, man, you just totally rocked my world in 2 weeks. And oh, by the way, I'm getting married tomorrow. And I was like, and I wrote him back. I said, well, that was the whole purpose. I mean, I spent 7 years struggling to put all this information together, reading 240 books and putting together this, 1,800 PowerPoint, slide presentation in the Academy so that, we can awaken fast. And that's the whole point, is to kind of speed people along, show them the truth, and, and have some sort of, storyline for this information to kind of go through you, so that you don't have to, spend 20 years in depression and thinking, the problems are too big, or,
Sure.
I don't care anymore and stuff like that. So, it's good to get those kind of emails saying, hey, I appreciate all the work that you did.
Yeah, well, we get them all the time. People are definitely waking up. I think it's verging on a movement.
Yeah.
And, I think
the cool thing is, it doesn't need to be a collective movement. And this can all be done through leaderless resistance. One person wakes up, takes care of their friends and family. And then, they'll end up preparing for those they, can't or won't prepare. And then when it all comes down, they'll have the opportunity to be a blessing onto them instead of, doing the I told you so.
There was a story, I don't know if you ever heard this tale, that after Napoleon, he went to Egypt, and he spent a night in the Great Pyramid. And supposedly he saw his whole future there, that he was going to lose the war and his empire would be defeated. And he said, he had seen the future, and that China was a sleeping giant. And when she emerged, the world would tremble. But what we're seeing is humanity is the sleeping giant here. And when humanity emerges from the comatose sleep that it's been in, that you've been asleep, that you've been unaware of what's going on, when humanity awakens, then the world is really going to tremble, because there won't be a government on the planet that can stop it.
No. And the wonderful thing about the work we're doing is that once you're awake forever. There is no going back to sleep. There's no, being re-indoctrinated again. And then to think of the resonating effect of one person waking up, and then, perhaps their friends or family. And then, when the consequences of this paradigm coming apart, that is when humanity is going to have an opportunity to embrace something that they would have rejected in their denial phase of the awakening. So,
yeah, totally right. 100%. And talk about awakening. I was in Manhattan yesterday with my wife, went out, had dinner, nice place around Midtown, and I started looking up at surveillance cameras, because we were in a restaurant, we were on a deck that was above street level, and I looked down, and looking right at me is one of these cams. It's a dual cam thing, and it says, it's got the New York City Police Department insignia on it, and it actually has a picture of a dog. Like, this thing's a watchdog. It's watching over you, taking care of you, making sure nothing bad is happening to you. And I looked around. Chris, these things are all over the place. They just strap on to light posts. They must have cost $15,000, $20,000 a piece.
Do you think that matters to them?
They could have been subsidizing, lifetime health benefits for government workers.
That's why I tell people, man, if you're in any urban area, get out before this goes down. I can't tell you, most of the strategy sessions I did over the past 2 weeks were from people who are like, you know what? please, break my mind of why I should be here right now.
Yeah.
I've told people that there's going to be, a divided America, that kind of red state, blue state thing where the people that live in the urban areas tend to be more collectivist, tend to be more dependent upon the dollar and debt paradigm. And since they're unprepared, most urban areas, I think, are going to split into two camps. One that are just going to be Mad Max. I think, Miami and Southern California and Houston are just going to be an absolute mess. But I think the northern cities like New York, Chicago, Boston are going to embrace this 1984 police state, and they're getting ready for it.
It sure looks like it, because now they're trying to ban supersize sugary sodas.
They did.
They passed it? I didn't see that it passed. I knew they were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing has to be a violation of the Constitution, the Interstate Commerce Clause, because if you could dictate what size mud flaps a truck could put on and get that struck down, then Nanny Bloomberg can't say you can't serve.
You love the gradualism. It's ban indoor public smoking, ban outdoor public smoking, ban private indoor public smoking.
Hey, this is I said my headline for this report was, first they came for my my tobacco, my cigarettes, then they came for my cigars, then they came for my trans fats, and now they're coming for my damn soda. What's next? And then you're not allowed to make private donations to homeless shelters anymore, because the food might have too much fat, it could be too salty, and might have too much sugar in it. It might not be in accordance with the food pyramid. God forbid that you violate the food pyramid, because that could be really bad for humanity.
Well, honestly, I think that this kind of pussyfooting over the amount of control that they want to have over your life, I think at some point they're going to push one step too far. And it's like, you can't really get upset. Oh, I can't have a 64-ounce Slurpee, so I'm going to go firebomb a police station or something like that. But I think when the dollar collapse happens, whatever little, pussyfoot and step that they did to try to control people, it's going to light a fire under these people, and it's not going to be safe in any urban area.
Here's what I'm recommending, at least as a little minor civil disobedience that could be some fun. If you got an empty soda bottle, all right, and it has to be a sugary drink, like a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi, any sugar soda, send the empty bottle to Mayor Nanny Bloomberg, also known as Little Brother, okay? City Hall, New York. I don't know the zip code, but just put that on it. It'll get to him. Send him your empty soda bottles, cups, whatever. Just send them in. Everybody out there.
I got something better.
Yeah?
If people wanted to get together and, I'm not trying to do this, but I think it'd be much better if everybody went down to Bloomberg with these 2-liter jugs of soda and drop Mentos in them.
Yeah.
And have a fireworks of, the Mentos. Because you can imagine what a sticky mess that's got to be.
Hey, man, where the hell does it end? Next, you're going to have to eat your broccoli, because Nanny Bloomberg wants you to eat your broccoli. So
it's all about control.
Healthy.
These things have nothing to do with your health. They have nothing to do with safety. It's all about the control mechanism to control society. So,
hey,
all right, take care.
Talk to you soon. Be well.
All right.